In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty's throng. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day.
In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
In the diner sipping soda pop, jukebox tunes that never stop. I see faces from different scenes, lost the culture on a different dream. We walk down the same old street, but our stories never meet. Different worlds side by side in this twisting 50s ride.
In our little town so serene, where the grass is green, the air so clean, we gather round the table every night. Joyful days, oh, once I end, with values cast, with generations past, living life with love that'll surely last. As the city lights glow bright, we hold to our roots tight, in our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine, working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright got you tight, but our hearts the same old fire. Yeah, oh yeah. We sway with every change of time, but in our hearts old love and soul, that baby in our heart, getting like a golden heart, in this fast-paced world we can fight. Traditions keep our hearts going wild, but goes the time in our hearts simple ways, they got it by the good old days.
We stand firm in our belief,
hold tight
Through the times clearer we can see, crazy world spinning round.
Stay grounded.
In our hearts simple truths agree, whisper of freedom and liberty
Rings true.
Our foundation strong and deep. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In the story we built for trusting,
No doubt.
time flies but we won't bend. Communists talk loud and fast,
Stay solid.
our quiet strength is our reply. So salute to change but pause,
Reflect.
in unity our dearest friend. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In shadows we find our light, through chaos we stay upright.
Stay
With courage, faith on our side,
forever.
standing firm our guide. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow.
Times are changing, feel the buzzing, staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights, with the star-spangled banner I stand tall with manners, cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and free, with liberty. Stick to values in the trends, families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision, in God we make decisions for our dream. True, thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and prairie, with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery, with liberty.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Culturama, where on this show, we are all trying to reclaim the zeitgeist of traditional Americana back into the United States. And I want to thank everyone that has appeared on the show so far in the very beginning. And it looks like we have a good viewership. So please like and share the stream so we can get the word out there. And but thank you to all my usuals. And I see some new names in the chat as well. People are excited to talk about the main topic of this stream, which is, yes, the Ghiblification, or the Ghiblification, some people pronounce, of America. I'm sure that those that do follow, accounts on Twitter, our president's social media, particularly Twitter, though, have seen this occur. And this is quite the cultural phenomenon. So I will be talking about that as well as other top news today. But in the meantime, however, until then, I do want to say to all of my returning guests and even some new guests in the chat, and I'll do that in a second. But right before I do, everyone, make sure that you visit ap4libertyshop.com. And also, please, like I said, like and share the stream so together we can reclaim the zeitgeist and take back tomorrow today. Okay, I want to thank those in the chat. We have, it looks like, an Evan Rowan in the chat. Welcome, Evan Rowan. You do look like, it looks like you're new. So very good to see you. Welcome to Culturama. We have Pork Chop 159. Welcome, Pork Chop. Fiery Waco with the Waco plan. Good to see you. We have Mr. Pig. We have Hoverspool. Welcome, Hoverspool, to the Culturama show. I haven't seen your name here, so it's very good to see you as well. Okay. Yes, wonderful. I see people are using the emotes in the chat quite a bit. And I still am working on getting those custom emotes, everyone. So stick around for those. I also forgot to mention, if you do want me to... I say this in the beginning of every show. If you want me to answer any of your questions, read out your messages or comments out loud, or cover any particular stories that you want me to cover live on the show, send in a Rumble rant. And it looks like that we just have our first Rumble rant as well. We have $10 from Quest Fanning. Good to see you, Quest Fanning. You wrote, "Happy Thirsty Thursday." I do not have a sound effect for that. I need to get a sexy sound effect for Thirsty Thursdays. Yes. Quest Fanning, thank you so much. And for those that don't know what Thirsty Thursdays are, on the AP for Liberty show, or Austin Peterson's Wake Up America show, every Thursday morning I appear on his morning show. This is, of course, the For Liberty Network. And Culturama is part of the For Liberty Network, as well as the Liberty Tonight show and the Wake Up America show. And today we have the Wake Up America show right after mine, 2 hours into the show. So everyone stick around, and we can, I will send in the link for that. Okay, so let me just jump right into this first story. I kind of want to get this one out of the way because we've talked about it at length before. I want to mention one more thing, and this is going to be the last thing I'm going to say about this unless something crazy happens. I want to talk about one last thing having to do with the Snow White story. I know. I reiterated it quite a bit on this show. I understand, but Hollywood does have a great effect on culture, and I want to talk about what exactly happened with the producer of Snow White and Rachel Zegler, because apparently he had flown over to where Rachel lives and discussed with her narcissistic tendencies that actually tanked the movie. Well, it was one of the reasons why the movie tanked, of course. Disney was a big part of it as well. Regardless, I'm going to open up that story and get that out of the way. And then you know what we're going to do? We're going to get right into artificial intelligence, everyone. Are you excited? Aren't you excited about the new art we're having? All right, let me pull up this story here. So I don't know if you guys are aware. I've talked about it earlier today on a different stream, on Austin's stream. But son of Snow White producer criticizes immature star Rachel Zegler for hurting the film, okay? Now, I don't know if any of you guys went and watched the movie. I didn't. I was going to, but I decided not to. I saw a couple clips of it in the, I don't believe in like boycotting things. It's something as big as Disney. I just don't think it's worth it. And I do have a morbid curiosity. And so what I wanted to do was go and watch it for myself. But there was this one clip I saw that it just dragged on. I think it was one of the ending scenes where they're all singing in the village. And I just wanted to do something violent to myself when I was watching it. So I decided not to go pay my money to be tortured. It sounded like, based on other reviews, it was a bad film. It was a boring film. So if you can help it, don't see this movie, although I can't imagine a lot of you will see this movie. But this is more interesting. So the producer, Mark Platt, reportedly had flown out and spoke to Rachel after she made a few statements about Trump and about Palestine. A lot of you guys are probably already aware of this, but Rachel Zegler, I believe she's like 20 or 21 years old. She's very young. Okay, she's inexperienced to a degree, but she also is a professional in her field, and that involves Hollywood and acting, and so you should have a certain degree of decorum when you are, especially prior to a film coming out that you starred in, that you should, you should act a certain way in public. And she couldn't help but put in her 2 cents on political matters shortly before the movie was released, and especially during a very contentious political time when the majority of the country made their decision on what direction they want their country to go. And so when your majority of your it's one thing if she was like, if Kamala won and it was a direction of the country, the zeitgeist, you could say, of the country going a certain direction. And so her comments about Trump would make a little bit more sense as a businesswoman, not by owning a business, but presenting a business. But the majority of the country made their decision, and she still went against the grain. And that costed the film quite a bit of dollars. Let's read this. The son of one of producers Disney's Snow White remake is calling for its star for allegedly hurting the movie with her social media posts. Okay? Many such cases. Jonah Platt, the son of the producer, defended his father on Instagram because people were coming out and they were writing on Instagram saying that when they had found out that the producer flew over to speak to Rachel about this, they said it was creepy and it was, why she should have free speech. And that's all technically true. Well, not the creepy part. I don't think it's creepy, but it is technically true that she does have freedom of speech. She should be able to voice her opinion, but you're also tanking a movie and you're tanking a lot of the jobs that are related to the success of that movie. So it's actually quite selfish. And she is a narcissist. The amount of praise and attention that these people get, I'm sure you guys can try to conceive of that, is ridiculous. So she almost views herself in like a godlike position where she thinks that she could just spout her opinions and be taken seriously. This is what Jonah wrote about his dad. Yeah, my dad, a producer of an enormous piece of Disney IP, with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand a 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie, for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. Let's continue here. There's a picture of Snow White herself here, obviously very sheer white. Her skin actually looks whiter here. The exchange happened in the wake of a Variety report that the elder Platt Mark, flew in to see Zegler in New York City last August to speak to her about the studio's concerns about her writing Free Palestine in a post promoting the trailer for the film. You really want to do this? Platt asked before defending his father's reasons for the trip, and to the person that commented on Instagram defending Rachel. He then ripped into the star, saying that she hijacked the press surrounding it to promote her viewpoints, which he said hurt box office performance. This is called adult responsibility and accountability, okay? Her actions clearly hurt the film's box office. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions, okay? Just because she is a star doesn't mean she can just say whatever it is that she wants. How many of you have to go into the office? I'm just going to ask you guys a question here. Speaking of the HRification of public conversation, how many of you have to go to work and you have to muzzle your political beliefs? You're not allowed to actually talk about what it is that you believe with your coworkers, with the risk. So if you do, the risk is, of course, getting a slap on the wrist. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, you may actually be terminated. This happens a lot. A lot of us can't speak our opinions, even though we technically, under the law we can. But there's no saying what's going to happen in the business. So why is it okay for Rachel Zegler to do this? Is it just because she makes more money than you and I, and therefore she's allowed to just unabashedly share her political opinions and not expect any repercussions? No. She's working and representing. She's not just working for Disney. She's actually representing them, which is an even different degree of responsibility there. She's not just going into an office and inputting numbers, but she's representing an organization. And even though Disney has gone a little bit political over the years and, injecting the... They're sneaky. They don't want to be like forward LGBT, but they kind of sneak it into their films. So yeah, Disney has gone a bit woke, but Disney for the most part is trying to be apolitical, with the removal of the LGBT stuff, which is just its own bacchanalia that we don't have to talk about. But Disney is trying to keep a squeaky clean image, and talking about Trump, talking about Palestine, That's not the image that they're going for, guys. And unless she talks about how she's a lesbian or she has gay friends, I don't think Disney really cares. They don't want you talking about politics. So I just want to ask, not that Rachel's watching, but I would ask her, why is it okay for you to do this, but not the rest of us? Well, that's all. I'm going to leave it there, everyone. Thank you for everyone joining in the chat so far. We have great viewership on Rumble. Everyone stay tuned. Quest fanning row. I've conceived very good quest fanning. Anyways, I'll be right back, everyone. Oh, also, I forgot to show you guys this. What am I doing? I forgot. This is a main part. This is actually the segue into my next conversation here, and that is AI. Hold on a second. So Grok generated a better Snow White than Disney. I'm going to ask you guys this. Does this look like a better version of Snow White than Rachel Zegler? Here's a version of Snow White that Grok generated. Okay. There's another one. Okay, there's that dark hair and that pale white skin again. I think Snow White is a German tale, if I'm not mistaken. Central Europe. So fairly white skin. Here's another one. I don't know about the dress on that one, but yeah, that makes more sense, right? Compare these ladies to the one that Disney starred. Okay? Why is it that AI can generate better images of actresses than what we have? Kind of weird. Like Rachel said, kind of weird. If I had to pick, I mean, the dress on this one is the best, obviously, because it portrays the actress or the original cartoon the most. But I like how this one looks. Her physiognomy, I think, is the best. All right, everyone. Now that segues into my next conversation. And this one's going to be big. It's going to be lengthy. I think you guys want to stay for that one. We're talking about AI, art, and the Ghiblification of America. What do I mean by that? Stay tuned. I'll be talking about that here with you in a second. I'll be right back, you guys, in like the next minute. And we're going to be talking about AI.
Well, here comes Danny Yellow like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah. Who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have glad you came out, and I'm so happy that you're queer. In the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
liberty lovers, stop scrolling, because if you're tired of the same old news, then I've got just the wake-up call for you. I want to thank you for tuning in to Culturama, and I know that you're enjoying every minute of it. Join us at rumble.com/AP4Liberty. The Wake Up America show is Mondays through Fridays, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a great way to start your day. Coffee's optional, but waking up is mandatory. Remember, at Wake Up America, we'll keep you sharp, we'll keep you laughing, most of all, we'll keep you free. I'll see you in the morning.
All right, everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to Culturama. I see that in the chat we have $5 in donations by Quest Fanning. Thank you so much for your generosity, Quest Fanning. You wrote, when George Lazenby played James Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service and then showed up on the premiere in defiance of the producers with a beard, he was instantly fired. Exactly. Back to a time where we actually held our actors accountable, right? For representing a film or representing a particular organization or a production company associated with that film. And that's absolutely true. I don't know about that case specifically that you're referring to, Quest Fanning. Maybe it's before my time, but I am going to take your word for it. And yeah, you're probably right. You're right in asserting that I don't know if you should have been instantly fired, maybe be heavily reprimanded perhaps, but I just feel like we're giving our Hollywood actors and our Hollywood figures too much leeway, and not just actors, pop music musicians as well. Taylor Swift was another big one. I don't understand where they come off in feeling like they have the ability to just unabashedly, again, go out and like spew their opinions everywhere, and then first of all, expect to be taken seriously, which I don't care about Taylor Swift or Rachel Zegler's opinions on foreign policy, first and foremost. Second of all, they're representing not just an organization or a product. They are also, a lot of people's jobs are reliant on them, are dependent on their performance. And so they have a massive amount of responsibility here. Yes, their role is important, but it's important, and there's a lot of undue effects that follow after whatever it is that they do. And I know that to have positions like that, it actually makes you feel quite important, and it does, and it makes you quite relevant and significant. But you also have to take it with a certain amount of gravitas that it presents you. And if you're just going to make flippant political statements, you really don't deserve that position. And Rachel Zegler really needed a PR team initially. I know they gave her one, or they gave her like a social media PR person to monitor her posts. We didn't read the whole article, whatever. That's what the article stated. They gave her a new PR person to monitor all of her social media posts. I think after the Trump post on Instagram, she wrote how she was absolutely upset that Trump had won and all this. They should have done that from the get-go. She's a young girl. She's only 20 years old. And I know she's still an adult. She still makes, her own decisions. She's agentic. But she's also perhaps quite inexperienced when it comes with this stuff. But I don't know. Rachel Zegler has been in the limelight for quite a while, too. So she's been an actress. She acted in movies before. But anyways, but thank you for your donation, Quest Fanning. I am going to jump into this next topic, everybody. And I hope you prepared yourselves. But did anyone that was on Twitter see the following post that the White House had launched? Look at this. Where's my sound effect for this one? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That was posted by the White House on all accounts. An official government account right there. Of a lady getting deported. Her name, by the way, for those that are unaware, because I think a lot of people are unaware about this, someone it looks like has already wrote in the chat, but her name is, I guess this is Virginia Basora Gonzalez, a previously deported alien felon convicted of fentanyl trafficking. Okay, she was arrested by ICE. She was deported shortly afterwards, and I have been seeing a lot, and I mean a lot of leftists come out and say, what can you even say about this? This is absolutely sadistic and it's absurd. How could you celebrate the deportation of a criminal that ruined communities, destroyed lives, and poisoned people? And so to fall back into the meme, the White House has decided to generate an AI image of the event that everyone was clowning on previous to this, by the way. For those that aren't familiar, this is the original image on the left here of her getting arrested. She's 36. I would have never guessed she's 36 in this picture, but there you go. This one right here. Sorry about that, Nelson. I heard that the sound effects are too loud. I still have to. The audio levels are always going to be in question, everyone. I'm trying my best. But yes, that's the image. That's the person that was deported. And so, for those that are perhaps unaware, but there has been a lot, and I mean a lot of AI-generated images of Miyazaki's art style or the creator of Studio Ghibli. And for those that don't know what Studio Ghibli is, or Ghibli, I've heard it pronounced both ways. I pronounce it the J way. But for those that don't know, Studio Ghibli is basically like and Miyazaki, the founder of it, it's like the Disney. Speaking of Disney, it's like the Disney of Japan. They make animated films. They technically make anime, but it's its own type of genre of anime, you could say. But it's basically just animated films, and there's a particular art style to it. And this is essentially how the art style looks like. And we're going to be looking at a lot more images representing the art style here in a moment, but everyone has, generated images of themselves because someone tweeted out originally. I don't have the account pulled up, but someone had suggested that if you want to really please your wife or your girlfriend, you just generate an image of yourself in this art style. And everyone and their grandmother has been posting pictures of this art style to the point where it's burning my eyes. However, I'm not a huge fan of this art style. I would highly recommend Studio Ghibli's films. They're great films with great morals in them. Really great stories. But the art style, I'm like, nah, it's okay. It is pretty. But everyone has people made a meme of it. And so what happened is that the White House decided to generate an image of one of their most iconic photos taken. And this is what it is. And people have been through the roof with opinions about what this entails. A lot of leftists have been... There's another generated image of someone reacting. What's this? A lot of people on the right and the left have a very polarizing opinion on this. Leftists are saying that this is sadistic, and this is just the White House taking joy and pleasure into deporting this individual. Meanwhile, others are like, not only is it really fun that, great for us, first of all, that they deported this individual, once again, was destroying lives, but it's actually kind of fun that they generated this image and they started, just playing into the meme. They're just posting things, and that's okay. Let's listen to this video explaining the phenomenon here. AI takes over social media. Shortly after its release, users flooded platforms like X and Instagram with "this is how the art style looks like," for those that don't know, this animation style. And as you can see, a few iconic figures here being recreated in this art style. Even OpenAI Sam Altman joined the trend and recreating himself in this AI generation image. What is Studio Ghibli? Okay. Founded in 1985 by Hayao Miyazaki and these other two gentlemen, which I will not attempt to pronounce their names. It's a studio founded by Miyazaki, and they called it Studio Ghibli. It's a Japanese animation studio. It is famous for its breathtaking animation and storytelling with several films. Here's the classics. I'm sure you guys can recognize some of them. There's Spirited Away. There's Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro right here. This one's my favorite Miyazaki film, Princess Mononoke. It's really the only one that I perhaps watched multiple times. I watched multiple times of Spirited Away, but begrudgingly, because the TV played it all the time. Okay, so ChatGPT, there's a version of ChatGPT that can generate and regenerate images for you. So people have been basically putting in photographs of themselves or other key events. And like I said, we'll look at a few of these examples here in a moment and ask it to recreate it in this image. anyone that has used AI generation tools or art generation tools basically know what it is, what this is. Like, you just put in a prompt, you type in, make this image look like this style, or they already have style sheets laid out for you. You select that style sheet and it'll recreate that image in that style. So that's basically what we're dealing with here. And people have been recreating this art with this version, this Japanese animated version of the image they would submit. So that's a quick introductory. That's a quick introductory video. I should have probably opened up at this video, but regardless. So that's what Studio Ghibli is. That's how they make these images, and that's how the White House made this image. Okay, I settled the foundation for you, but this conversation is leading into a bigger one about, and we always touch on this. We talk about AI art, the democratization of art, the accessibility of it, and whether or not this is actually art, okay? Let's read this article together. ChatGPT Studio Ghibli AI art trend is an insult to life itself, okay? What does Gizmodo say about this? OpenAI's latest update of ChatGPT ignores any prior restraint and jumps headfirst into aping the actual talents of Studio Ghibli. Okay, this is a conversation a lot of us have been having for a long time. Is AI art really art? No, of course it isn't really art, okay? There was no form of agentic quality or effort a person put into a creation or extension of themselves. It's appropriated arts and images from other sources and by artificial intelligence and it recreates it. So it's not actually art. I preferably believe that it has to be made by a human to be considered true art, but perhaps there's another word for this we can use. Perhaps this is a more devolved form of art. It is visual, of course, and it is enjoyable to look at. So perhaps it's art for me and you, but it's not in the true sense of art. But let's continue reading what this says here. In the past, OpenAI has explicitly refrained from allowing users to create prompts and generating images mimicking Studio Ghibli's art style to avoid potential copyright lawsuits from the anime giant. This is true. I've tried multiple times already when this trend was happening yesterday. That is until the company released a new ChatGPT update earlier this week, touting its technological ability to create more precise, accurate, and photorealistic outputs. The update has led to an online trend where folks are posting AI-generated images using OpenAI to transform themselves into characters from the Studio Ghibli films. Literally the three ones that I mentioned already, like Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and My Neighbor Totoro, a classic. Can I just be real here? I'm going to lose viewership after saying this. I really think this film is a bit overrated. I know. I'm sorry. I think this film is a bit overrated. People say this is like the best film of all human existence. I think it's so overrated. I've watched it. I sat down and I watched it a few years ago because I actually never watched it growing up. And like, it's good. It's a good, fun film, but it is not even close to the depths to the depth of the script like Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke has, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of theories about the children in the film, but anyways, building on, obviously I'm nerding out about the media. My apologies. Building on that, ChatGPT's new update has meant verified accounts on X Twitter have been smarmly patting out OpenAI on the back for how its new update is democratizing animation by shifting out prompts and transforming photos of their weddings and whatnot into something that Ghibli would have created. Okay? And I see this phrase a lot: democratizing animation, democratizing art. What does it mean to democratize art? Well, what it does mean is having full accessibility to the tools that can readily make that art without having you to have any skill or effort to put into it itself. And a lot of people are saying that this is a bad idea. That now art will be literally meaningless because we have fully democratized it and we are encouraging more access to all the peons and the normies of the world to generate what would be considered beautiful forms of art of the past. Okay, let's continue on with this article. There's a White House picture. This also happened Wednesday. People, libtards are mad. Good. The underlying issue in this entire situation is how AI initiatives like the one mentioned above reflect breathless tech bro sentiments about AI democratizing art by enabling anyone to input a prompt and receive an image in a distinctive art style. Art styles professionals and animators put years of work into mastering this skill. It is also the latest and arguably the most brazen attempt of copyright infringement that the AI, I don't care about the copyright infringement, that AI is posing against the professional artists and voice actors who are battling for protections from shit like this. Gizmodo, my goodness. There could be children watching this show and reading this article here today. The whole affair is made exceedingly worse when you consider, here we go, you guys ready? The official White House Twitter account jumping on the trend. They have to mention it. Posting Ghiblified images to dehumanize people in Donald Trump's massive deportation campaign. Guys, I'm going to ask you a question. Is this dehumanizing? Is it dehumanizing to arrest someone? I mean, maybe in some aspects it is, perhaps if they're being arrested for the wrong reasons or there's no justification for their arrest. I could understand how that would be dehumanizing. But is arresting someone that is a drug trafficker, a fentanyl peddler that has destroyed communities and Americans' livelihood or their lives and their livelihoods, is that dehumanizing to arrest them, or is it actually like doing what you're supposed to do? And making an animated version of that, I think, is actually quite funny. I think that's pretty funny. You can just post things, you guys. You can just post things. It's okay for a little fun. Even, I was surprised. Everyone was surprised when they posted this image. Yes, but it's fun. It's called irreverence. It's okay to have fun, everybody. Okay, let's finish this article here. The whole affair is made exceedingly worse when you consider the official White... Oh, I just read that. Hold on. Here's more examples. The co-founder of Studio Ghibli, Miyazaki, reaction to AI-generated images, by the way. He was not a fan, by the way, you guys. This is a presentation of an artificial intelligence model which learns certain movements. They're showing this to Miyazaki. I am utterly disgusted, he wrote. I would never wish to incorporate this technology into my work at all. I strongly feel that this is an insult to life itself. That's a pretty strong reaction, Miyazaki. That's a very good image, actually. I am utterly disgusted. That's legendary. Okay, here are a few Bollywood scenes in the Ghibli format. That's funny. Bollywood is crazy, you guys. Look at that. Anyways, while Studio Ghibli has yet to make a comment, an official comment, or announce legal action against OpenAI, the OpenAI's new update, it is being used to generate images in its art style. Famed animator Hayao Miyazaki has already made his feelings explicitly clear about AI. He despises it. Yes, that is true. So Miyazaki, if he was still with us here today, he would be not too pleased, perhaps, with some of the developments that are occurring. However, I'm going to say this. It's still fun. It's still funny. Yeah, he was a legendary animator and he contributed great works to the overall culture, not just Japanese culture, but Miyazaki's films have dramatically impacted American culture here too. And if you don't believe me, go to your next anime convention, your next Comic-Con, or just go down to your local mall and go to your anime store and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so it did drastically impact American culture. In fact, Japanese and American culture go hand in hand in a lot of ways. However, given that they were, Japan was largely developed by the West. But regardless, now Japan is helping us develop. So, but It is true. Maybe you have been upset about this, and at the end of the day, we're not Japan, and we don't have to respect our elders. It's fun. All right. Let's go through some egregious examples, everyone, of these images. So if you go to Twitter, you're going to find a lot of these images on your timeline. Okay? And I'm going to start with, I just picked out a select few, and I want to start off with the least concerning of the generated images and end with what I found to be the worst, or one of the worst. And I'm just going to go in order here. I don't know if you guys can see my tabs. Maybe you don't. I have like maybe 7 or so. So this is, of course, J.D. Vance blown up. What do you guys think about that one? Okay, I like this one. It looks like we can also evaluate how true it is to the medium. We have this one, J.D. Vance getting a medal here by the president. It looks like the style, I think. I think it's pretty good. Here's another one. For those that don't know who can tell me who this is in the chat, if you guys know who this is. Also, $5 from Entropy Nomad. I did not miss your chat, Entropy. Thank you so much for your $5. Very much appreciated. You wrote, mock your enemy with memes until they cry and then meme and mock them more. Beautifully said, Entropy Nomad. I couldn't agree more with that statement. Very true. But yes, mock... Ian Michael Anderson wrote Hoverspool. That's who you think this is? Ian Michael Anderson? Maybe this reference is to a niche for my audience. For those that don't know, this is of a very infamous individual on the internet. His name is Chris Chan, also today known as Christine Weston Chandler. They're trans, and I'm not even gonna begin explaining to you who this is. I just thought for those that know. Happy Thursday evening, Grizz Cheese. Welcome to the Culturama stream. Sonnet Shoe, Entropy Nomad, exactly, Sonnet Shoe. I thought this was pretty neat. I liked it. A happy young man. Surely he will live a happy life and find a nice boyfriend-free girl to share his company with. Okay, here's another one. Ayn Rand. This one kind of scared me at first, okay? What do you guys think about this one, huh? I think it looks like her. The teeth are a bit intimidating on this one, but I mean, I instantly knew who this was when I saw it. Also true to the art style. Slightly frightening, but regardless, I think this one was a bit creative. Uncanny, though. Okay, what else do we have? What's next? Huh? Who knows who this is? Huh? Blast from the past. Who knows who this is? We all know who that is, right? I think this one is pretty good. What is this? Convert this photo into Studio Ghibli. There it is. That's Trudeau. That's the real image right here. I think the AI generated it pretty well, actually. They even got the picture in the back done pretty well, like because it's like a hand-drawn a picture with the two guys in the back. I think it's pretty accurate there. Pretty good. Yeah, that's a good one. That kind of looks like Trudeau. Not bad. Not bad. We also, I don't want to miss this one. Where's my sound effect? $5 from JJ. Thank you, JJ. You wrote, Studio Ghibli movies are conservative-oriented with Japanese Shinto elements. Love how anime is being made mainstream. But Hayao Miyazaki, thank you for... I only heard him referred to as Miyazaki. I don't know too much about Ghibli. Seems to disparage the tech. Yeah, as we have come to find out, he didn't seem too happy about AI all too well. So a very traditional man. Yeah, I would say that the movies are traditional in their morals, or conservative oriented, as you said. I would agree with that. Again, I've watched maybe I can look at the list of, but the top ones, like I said, I watched Spirited Away like 20 times. Multiple times, not 20. Princess Mononoke is really the one that I watched the most and I enjoyed the most. That one has a very traditional message, and I like that one a lot. even though I side more with the villain in that movie, but it's a good message. What do we have? We have Your Neighbor, My Neighbor Totoro. It's okay. What else? There's a one with a cat girl in it, with the cats. Does anyone know what I'm referring to? There's one about a girl who transforms into a cat. It's a very odd film. I watched that one recently. Ponyo. I think that movie's mid. I didn't like Ponyo. I watched it twice. I didn't like it. I'm sorry. But what else? I can't think of anything. Again, Japanese animation in general is not my thing. And let me tell you guys, I tried to get into anime, and it's just... Maybe I don't have enough of a neck beard to really get into it. I just can't do it. I can't do anime. I can't do Studio Ghibli. It's more of a consumer friendly. It's more of like it's a way for normies to get into anime. And it's hilarious I'm talking about this as we have Kiki Delivery Service, Mr. Pig. I never watched, and I probably never will. It's funny I'm talking about this with this image in the background. But Studio Ghibli and Ghibli films are like the pipeline for someone. It's a gateway drug. It can get someone into anime, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's like classic anime itself. That's my opinion. The only anime film I really like is Akira, and couldn't tell you a thing about the plot. The art style is pretty cool, and there's a few other ones in there, but it's just not my thing. Anyway, next image. How's this one, huh? Who can tell me who this is in the comments? Does anyone know who this is and what he's saying? I want to see someone write in the chat the quote of what this individual is saying so I know how cultured my audience is. I'll give you guys a moment. Does anyone know who this is? I'm not seeing anyone comment in the chat. Someone's got to tell me, who is this guy? Oh, there's another image of him, by the way, for those that don't know. This is the same person. Who do we have here? What else do we have? There's another one. Fish tank. Hassan, I'm coming for you. Yes! Chief ZZ, absolute. Austin Peterson, Nelson 65. No, Nelson 65. This is not Austin Peterson. This is Sam Hyde, the ghost of Kiev. But yeah, he's talking about Hassan Piker. This is another one of those figures that, unless you're like you're completely online, you probably won't know who they are. But I thought this was a very concerning image, and the assassin of Shinzo Abe. Yes, very true. Only right answers, everybody. Yes, this is another one I appreciated quite a bit, and like this is another image I appreciate as well of him. Very sad backstory. The amount of shootings that happened, pretty bad. Probably shouldn't reference him. That is a joke. Nelson 65 and others. This is not a shooter. This is just a comedian. For those that don't know, Sam Hyde is a comedian. Okay, next image. Are you guys ready? What's this one? I don't remember. Yes. Here is another image that, like I said, we start off easy and we get more concerning as we go. This one, I think, is quite funny, but left a really strange feeling in my tummy. Of course, we all know what this image represents and who this is. Not to offend anyone, I thought this, I'm not going to lie, this did draw a chuckle out of me. What's very interesting about this style is that you can put in the most concerning images, events in our development, in our history as a nation that were, I would say, very poignant elements of our history, and has helped develop us and develop our identity as a nation, some of which aren't the best events in history. And a lot of these can be violent events. A lot of these can be, sad memories. But when you put them through an AI generator that cartoonifies it, it has this strange juxtaposition laid against it that I can't help but laugh. W in the classroom during 9/11. Yes, JJ, very good. Okay, we have just a couple more, everyone. Oh, this next one. I think this is the last one. Who can tell me who this is? Oh no, this person gave it away. It's Ghislaine Maxwell, everyone. This is obviously the most concerning one of them all, in my opinion. A treacherous person history, but when you giblify it, or giblify it, it just softens the blow, you know? So, there's... Someone wrote Ghislaine Maxwell was hot. That's an opinion. Anyways, I also wanted to show... I giblified myself. I use an app because I am a moron. I didn't know it was actually through ChatGPT. I use an app, but this is what it made of me. Not too pleased with it. I use this image of me reading Bronze Age Mindset. And I don't know. I think it looks okay. I think it looks more like a generic anime than it does Studio Ghibli. It was a Ghibli filter. But I don't know. It's I think it was okay. Richard Hanania liked it. Anyway, by the way, here's Richard Hanania. As for those that know, if you guys know, you know. There you go. That's kind of scary. He said I looked better in my natural version, so I have to give a props to him. But this is like the fourth or third image that Richard has commented on. I posted, and he still doesn't follow me. So Richard, if you're listening, I think now's the time for you to follow my account. I also thought this one was pretty cool. This is the Richard Nixon Foundation participated in this, everybody. Come on. Regardless of what you think about Nixon, I think this is a cool image. Here's another one of him on the phone, huh? Pretty classy. I think something tells you that Richard Nixon would enjoy these pictures if he was still with us here today. I think he would say like, "Whoa, this is so cool." You know, it looks like him. It's crazy. It looks like him. All right. Yes, a classic. Elon Musk balancing with the fork. I don't have that video, but this is him balancing the forks. Did you guys see that video of him in the dinner? He had a little moment there. That's such a profound look. The profound look in his eyes. I'm looking through in the comments here. Anyways, welcome to the new world of art, everyone. A modern new world that we live in here. All right, what do I have next on my roster? We have only an hour left until it is time to launch off to the Liberty Tonight show. So you guys, I'm not even halfway through my roster. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to pull up the next few stories. And, this next one, CIA operatives, occult practices, and psychics. You're not going to want to miss this one. Also, Thomas Massey introduces a new act. I think you guys are going to appreciate that as well. So stay tuned. And I will bring up the next few stories. In the meantime, please visit ap4libertyshop.com. Once again, that is ap4libertyshop.com. If you want to get some Culturama coffee, I will be pulling that up for you guys to look at as well. So stay tuned, everybody.
In the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty strong. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway. In the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day.
In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we stride in the light of freedom's sky. We got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now. The Reds are going down.
In the diner, sipping soda pop, jukebox tunes that never stop. I see faces from different scenes, lost the cultures on a different dream. We walk down the same old street, but our stories never meet. Different worlds side by side in this twisting 50s ride.
Welcome back to Culturama, everyone. I hope you're taking the time to join the ap4libertyshop.com to look at some wonderful Atomic Blonde coffee. But I'm not going to beleaguer you with that because we have a lot more to cover in this last hour here. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this next topic here. But before I wanted to do that, I forgot to mention this in the last AI segment. And that is, I know we're all talking about Japanese anime. Hold on, let me put on. I was eating breadsticks, everyone. Hold on a second. I had to put my plate down. I know we were all talking about Japanese animation, but I want to suggest something for everyone watching here today, okay? How about, just hear me out, Norman Rockwell, huh? Norman Rockwell slop. What do you guys think, huh? I think it is leagues better. It's more detailed, and I think this is the type of culture and, art style and spirit that we're really trying to embody. Not only that, but it's going to help the Culturama show get a little bit more popular, I think. So something to consider. This isn't exactly Norman Rockwell style, I would say. But there we go. Look at that. Come on, you guys. This is 100 times better than the Japanese animation, right? Us Americans know how to make real art. I'm joking. Anime is real art too. But come on, can we do these images? That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, who is ready for some CIA psychics? I know I am. If New York Post will cooperate with my computer. Paging Indiana Jones, CIA confirmed Ark of the Covenant's existence using remote viewing. Resurfaced declassified docs claim. Now, when I saw this article, this phrase, remote viewing, I thought they were like, this was a type of technology that they were relying on. No, I looked it up. This is the exact opposite of using technology. Hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. The CIA claims to have confirmed the existence of the Ark of the Covenant, of all things. The Ark of the Covenant, by way of remote viewing, aka ESP. Okay? Extrasensory perception. Hold on. Where's my clown sound effect? Clown sound effect. There we go. Alleging the mysterious and sacred object is guarded by entities with an unknown power and recently resurfaced declassified document claims. In a remote viewing session on December 5th, 1988, a viewer was tasked with number 32, may I add. Number 32, they had a lot of these people, was tasked with identifying a target that, unbeknownst to them, ended up being the storied Ark of the Covenant. Okay? There's this document that was circulating around in social media. What does it say? Viewer number 32 attained excellent sight contact, doing very well with stage 4 structure viewing. Also exhibits the ability to be AOL to a minimum, I think is what it says. To be careful with editing, though. Okay. This is the description this person gave. The target is a So, just so you guys know what's happening, they had a bunch of people that have these extrasensory perception abilities. Okay? And they used their extrasensory perception abilities to somehow visualize and basically see in their mind's eye where these objects are. Okay? Wait a second. What am I missing? Of course I'm missing. You guys know what's gonna happen. So, they gathered a bunch of people that have the special keen ability of visualizing things that are really there, but we can't see. Psychics, if you will. And they are supposed to find and describe, well, not actually find, but describe and find, using their mind, where these objects are. And one of them was the Ark of the Covenant. This happened in 1988. Logistically, when a remote viewer is tasked with searching of a target, the desired object is written down on a piece of paper and put into an envelope. Interesting. The remote viewer does not know what is written and is guided through the process by another person. Retired U.S. Army Chief Warrant Joe McMoneagle explained. Okay, so that's the process, and apparently one of the remote viewers, number 32 to be exact, described a secret Middle Eastern location of the object, which they don't know is the Ark, of course, but they say is protected by entities. What entities, you may ask? We don't know, but they're entities nonetheless. Oh, my thing's gonna slide off. Quote, the target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. Okay, maybe it's a nesting doll. The target is fashioned of wood. It's sounding more like a nesting doll. Of gold and silver. Okay, maybe not so much. Similar in the shape of a coffin and is decorated with seraphim, they replied. Okay, that sounds more like the Ark of the Covenant, but still. It could be a fancy nesting doll. Visuals of the surrounding buildings indicate a presence of mosque domes. Okay, that's interesting. The target is hidden underground, dark, and wet, where all aspects of the location are targeted. So it's in a very moist environment. Gotcha. In a mosque. In the Middle East. Regardless, very moist. The purpose of the target is to bring people together. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. That's an obvious one right there. There's an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and the historical knowledge far beyond what we know. Okay? Here's an article. I already read it, so we don't have to go through it. What is remote viewing? This is a bit of an explanation for those that are uninitiated. Loyal to the foil. I am wearing the foil. I don't want to get any more crazy than I already am. What is RV, remote viewing? Also, $1 from Entropy Nomad. Thank you so much, Entropy Nomad. You wrote, I had ESP once, then I took an arrow to the knee. Oh, that's funny. I had ESP and I took an arrow to the knee. Thank you so much for your donation, Entropy Nomad. A moist mosque. Yes, Quest Fanning. Very moist mosque indeed. So what is remote viewing? Here's a quick Wikipedia synopsis of what it is. Remote viewing, or RV, is a practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen object, like I already said, purportedly sensing it with the mind. There's no scientific evidence that remote viewing exists. Shocker. And the topic of remote viewing is generally regarded as pseudoscience. Doesn't mean it's not true, but, still. A remote viewer is expected to give information about an object, event, person, or location hidden from physical view and separated at some distance. Okay, what is this? What do the scientists have to say about this? Physicists like Russell Targ and Harold Puthoff, parapsychology researchers at the Stanford Research Institute. Wait, are they saying these people are parapsychology researchers? It says they're physicists, so maybe they mean a different group of people. At the Stanford Research Institute are generally credited with coining the term remote viewing to distinguish it from the closely related concept of clairvoyance. Yes, this is basically what visualization, clairvoyance. According to Targ, the term was first suggested by Ingo Swann in 1971 during an experiment at the American Society for Psychical Research in New York City. Okay. Remote viewing experiments have historically lacked proper controls and repeatability. Not surprised there. Okay, last paragraph. The idea of remote viewing received a renewed attention in the 90s upon the declassification of documents related to the Stargate project. Interesting. A $20 million research program sponsored by the U.S. government, taxpayer dollars, that attempted to determine the potential military applications of psychic phenomena. Okay. The program ran from 1975 to 1995 and ended after evaluators concluded that the remote viewers consistently failed to produce actionable intelligence information. They consistently failed. Well, I guess that means I can take off my hat. But in all seriousness, I do want to share an unpopular opinion here with you guys. Just because it is pseudoscience doesn't mean that it's false. Just because there's lack of study on it doesn't mean that it's all false. That is my personal opinion. I've had a guest on this show way back a few months ago. No, way back, like a few months ago is a long time. Then the beginning of the show, Georgina Rose, great account on Twitter. She puts out great content. She talks about like paganism and the occult. I find it interesting. It's not for everyone. But I interviewed her, and she did talk about how government officials, people in public office, they actually do, whether it's done in secret or not, they do get and obtain opinions and general advice from practitioners of such questionable practices, including those that assert that they have clairvoyance or engage in some occult practices like astrology. If you consider astrology an occult practice, but it's still, considered pseudoscience. So there is reason to believe that there could be some truth to it. I think there certainly could be some truth to it. However, the prospect of spending $20 million is a bit much. Maybe $20, but $20 million, I don't know about that. The way that I see it is that if they're really effective, sure. This Wikipedia, I'm not going to rely on Wikipedia because Wikipedia, if you look up anything, they say everything is pseudoscience, which I think there's some truth to stuff. I think there's, like, for instance, they have breath work here. Breath work, I think works. They'll probably say it's a pseudoscience. It has a therapeutic effect, it says, okay. Kundalini yoga, I think there's some truth to this stuff. Indigo children, maybe not. I looked into that one. You guys should look into that. That's kind of gay, but this is not a shocking revelation, because if you guys know anything about the CIA, this shouldn't shock you. Let's read this recent article from the March 1978 issue of all things. Okay. Experience, the CIA and the occult. No, this is not an article exposing the CIA infiltration of a witch's coven. That is a story which is yet to be written. Very interesting way to phrase that second sentence, by the way. That is a story yet to be written. What do they mean by that? What did they mean by this? Are they saying that there indeed will be, or there is reason to write an article about this? Perhaps it will be when the reports of the New York Times or some other well-connected publication next encounter an informed source in an amply stocked bar. If such a story should emerge, no one should be surprised. We have already learned that the CIA has experimented with mind control, telepathy, and other parapsychological techniques. That is all true. The CIA does do those things. The agency even went so far as to hire John Mulholland, a New York magician, to help teach what Admiral Turner has taught aspects of magicians are used in covert operations. It would be a short step from there to contracting with witches and perform, don't know how to pronounce that word, maleficia in the national interest. So I just wanted to read that first article. This article goes in more into depth and you can read it. It talks about gnosis here. But the CIA has been known to partake and engage in questionable practices such as these. In fact, there's another famous story where the CIA, I think it was in some Asian country like Laos or Vietnam. I don't remember. I'm sure it's a famous story and I'm drawing a blank on it. They've even tried to emulate like vampire. They set out people to dress up like vampires to scare the locals of that country. Let me see if I can find it. Vampires. CIA vampires. How the CIA used vampires to fight communism. In the Philippines. Yeah, they even try. Let's read this together. This is an interesting story. You can look it up on YouTube. I think there's like another, there's like a short documentary on it. There are more than 7,000 islands that make up the Philippines. Okay. But there is one indigenous belief that survived centuries of Spanish rule. It's a terrifying boogeyman known as the aswang. The aswang doesn't have exact match in the Western pantheon of monsters, but they're most closely related to the vampire. It feeds on more than just blood, however. It also eats organs, unborn children, phlegm, delicious, and it can take on alternate forms like a giant pig, a nasty dog, or even a man-sized vulture. And vampires are known to shapeshift into other animals in Western tradition as well. Whatever shape it takes, the aswang is widely believed to be the source of illness, mysterious deaths, and other misfortunes. Okay, makes sense. Well, believe it or not, back in the Cold War in the 1950s, the CIA operative in the Philippines took advantage of the aswang superstition to scare off communist rebels. And how did he do it? He punctured victims' necks with 2 vampire-like holes, hanging them from a tree, dangling them, draining them of their blood, and it might have been scarier than the aswang legend itself. So there's an illustration of what the things look like. So just so you guys know, if you're unaware, CIA operatives in the 1950s pretended that they were vampires, and they actually punctured victims and drained them of their blood like vampires to scare off locals. So there you go. Tax dollars in full effect, everybody, into programs that help fund these projects. One more thing before the commercial break. This is not related, but it's still necessary to talk about. Thomas Massey, love him, hate him. We like him on this show, but regardless, I know some people have differing opinions, but the beloved Thomas Massey has introduced H.R. 2356, also known as a Dual Loyalty Disclosure Act. Okay, and I wanted to read this off with you guys, ask your opinions, although I think we all share a similar sentiment. He wrote, if we continue allowing dual citizens to run for federal office, candidates should be disclosed to voters all countries of which they hold citizenship. It seems like a pretty common sense position, I think. And from judging by the comments, there seems to be a similar sentiment shared as well. But let's read this press release. Representative Massey introduces legislation requiring political candidates to disclose dual citizenship. This was initiated yesterday, March 26th. So Thomas Massey, it's titled the Dual Loyalty Disclosure Act, or the DLDA. The legislation amends the Federal Election Campaign Act to require candidates for federal office to disclose both their possession of dual citizenship and also the foreign country in which their dual citizenship is held. You would think we already have a common sense law about this, but we didn't. The disclosure of dual citizenship status would appear publicly in a statement of candidacy filed when political candidates seek election to federal office. Now, you know, this is just to federal office, but this is a good start, and hopefully in other states following through for more local offices as well. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but in a country, you would think that we would already have something like this. And this is altogether a very America First policy that I'm very much happy with, and I hope it goes through. This is a quote from Massey. Dual citizens elected to the U.S. Congress should renounce citizenship in all other countries. Makes sense. At a minimum, however, I mean, this is what they ought to do. They're not gonna have to do it, but this is what they ought to do. However, he's saying at the minimum, they should disclose their citizenship in other countries and abstain from votes specifically benefiting from those countries. If we are going to continue to allow members of Congress to acquire and retain citizenship in other countries, they should at least be required to disclose to the voters all of the countries of which they consider themselves to be citizens. It makes sense to me. Dual citizenship is crazy. It shouldn't even exist, says Mr. Pig in the comments. Hello, Bruiser55. Good to see you in the stream again. Welcome to Culturama. We're halfway through, but I do appreciate you attending. You missed the CIA vampire story. If you want to listen about that, just rewind this clip of 5 minutes back. But we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. But welcome to the stream. So, as far as conservatives are concerned, other Republicans and libertarians even, this seems to be a very popular policy position. It's a common sense position. It's an America First position. It makes complete sense why he would push this through. And all things considered, I am shocked that this isn't already a measure. So it must be done. Anyways, well, I just cracked my neck there. I'll be right back, you guys. I'm going to be pulling up the next few stories. Before I do that, however, I should probably show you. I should show my products. If you guys haven't already, this is your sign. If you're here, if you're still watching the Culturama stream, now is the time. This is your sign. Go to the ap4libertyshop.com. Once again, that is ap4libertyshop.com. Type into the search bar Culturama Collection, and there you will find the Culturama Atomic Blonde Coffee, 12 ounces. I have it right here in my Culturama mug, not included in the purchase. However, the mug is also in the shop. And this coffee can be enjoyed hot. It can be enjoyed over ice during the summer. If you're like me, you like iced coffee. So it can be enjoyed in multiple ways for all seasons. And most importantly, it will keep you awake for hours. It is an energizing brew. Anyone that... Hold on a second. Is this? Yes. Anyone that has drank this coffee can attest to it. So I highly recommend this coffee. It's delicious. It's worth your money. You can buy it one time or make a 2-time purchase or just subscribe and have a consecutive purchase every couple months. And also you are supporting a wonderful show in doing it. So that is something I highly encourage you guys to look into. Wonderful. I will drop the link in the chat here. So go and order yourself some coffee. This instant, I misspelled coffee in the chat. There you go, I fixed it. Go buy yourself a bag of Culturama Brew of Atomic Blonde coffee. I just put the link in the chat for you guys to take a look at. And we have $1 from Fiery Waco. Thank you so much, Fiery Waco. You wrote, everyone that has dual citizenship passports already knows which side they'd pick, and they were forced to choose. Pick a side. Exactly. That's the thing, is that a lot of these people, they would prefer to live in the United States anyway. So just pick a side. Exactly. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Fiery Waco. And, you know, as a child of immigrants, not anymore, they became citizens. But I can certainly and firmly attest to that most people, even now, even after Trump won, in fact, I would say even more so now that Trump won, personally, people want to live here. Things are better here. We are, all things considered, regardless of the previous administration and the previous pandemic that we had to endure and the draconian policies that were initiated during that time period, we are still a thriving nation. Despite the offshoring of jobs, we are still a thriving nation regardless. So yes, America is superior. It's just a matter of having America First policies that help facilitate our superiority. Anyways, thank you, Fiery Waco. I will be right back, everyone. Stay tuned. And we have a couple more stories until we head off to the Liberty Tonight show. All right, you guys. Give me one moment. I shall return.
Birds are crawling like bugs in the night. Freedom's calling, gotta rise and fight. We'll stomp 'em out with all our might. Watch 'em scatter in fear and fright. Crushing commies beneath our shoes like tiny pests with nothing to lose. Crushing commies, our anthem strong. Stand united where we belong.
So bright, ideals flash in the night. Opponents stand side by side. Soldiers collide, nowhere to hide. This meet dreams in the street. History on repeat. Our world's in a spin. Let the future begin.
I thought the world would turn slower, not as fast as it does. Conservative hearts were steady, sure and just because. A simpler time of values, when right was what it was. It seems like those days vanished with just a fleeting pause.
Right-wing dreams of yesterday, steady in the fray. Keeping timeless traditions, leading all the way.
I'm glowing in the night, shining like a star in this atomic age, a brighter by far. Untouchable energy, it's a glowing affair. Ready, ready, I'll take you everywhere. I'm untouchable now, feel the power in the air. Radioactive rhythm, but sense without care. Electric and alive in this atomic embrace. Unstoppable now in this glowing space.
In the city lights so bright, ideals flash side by side. Cultures collide, nowhere to hide. Fists meet dreams in the street. History on repeat. Our world's in a spin. Let the future begin.
Times are changing, feel the buzzing. Staying true when they're fussing. Keep the flag a-flying through stormy nights. With the star-spangled banner, I stand tall with manners. Cross my heart with hope in sight. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and glory, with liberty. Stick to values in the trends. Families gather, let's defend. Hold the line, keep the bond alive. Truth in our vision. In God we make decisions for our dream. Through thrive and strive. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and glory, with liberty. We'll keep fighting for what's right, standing strong in the night. Here comes freedom in the land of hope and bravery, with liberty.
In delivering unbiased, nonpartisan, fact-based reporting to Americans. Americans listen to public radio as they commute, as they work, and in the kitchen as they cook with family. Nearly 100% of Americans live within range of a public radio station. We cover what matters to local communities, crop prices, cook-offs, and local sports teams, alongside news of the nation and the world, from the halls of Congress to coverage of our troops overseas. Today, Americans have more media choices than ever. The rise of podcasting has established a competitive free market for audio news and information. And every day, I am honored to know that we have 43 million listeners from every state in the nation. Amidst this competition, local stations choose to become members of NPR for the value we provide.
The value that NPR provides, everyone, huh? I know NPR provides a lot of value for you guys watching here. Do you think it provides as much value as Culturama, though? Let's be honest. Not that much.
We are the only non-paywalled news outlet with a dedicated reporter covering veterans issues.
Oh, brother.
While NPR is only 25% of station programming on average, audiences for NPR bring the scale and revenue that subsidize essential local programming. Local public media journalism has never been more important to American families, who consider it part of the fabric of their communities. It correlates with higher rates of civic engagement, greater civic cohesion, and economic advantages, such as better municipal bond ratings. Recent independent polling found that more than 60% of all Americans and more than half of Republicans trust public broadcasting to deliver fact-based news. I understand the subcommittee has questions about funding for NPR and public radio. The vast majority of federal dollars, more than $100 million of the $121 million annual appropriation for public radio, goes directly to 386 local, non-commercial stations across the nation. This highly efficient investment enables your local stations to raise an average of $7 for every federal dollar.
Hard to believe, but this is, for those that don't know, Catherine Marr. She is CEO of NPR, and there is a lot of question about NPR getting some of the funding cut, and they're freaking out about it. So we're going to be talking about that next. But before I do that, I do see here we have $2 from Entropy Nomad. The best and the brightest, Entropy, you wrote, she reminds me of Elmo's butt plug. Very well put, Entropy Nomad. I didn't even think that. I never in my mind would I ever have conceived of that. So wonderfully put, Entropy Nomad. Here's an article detailing an AP article. I also think NPR is fake and gay, Mr. Pig. And Nelson65, I actually don't watch or listen to NPR either. Okay. Congressional Republicans target PBS and NPR funding in contentious hearing. So that's the clip that we had just watched right just now. So House Republicans are pushing in the Trump administration. House Republicans pushing the Trump administration's government efficiency of efforts called for dismantling and defunding the nation's public broadcasting system following a contentious hearing yesterday featuring the heads of PBS and NPR. Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, the legendary, said that we believe that you all can hate us on your own dime. Wonderfully said. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of MTG, but I gotta hand it to her. That is a very good point. Coupled with President Donald Trump's declaration on Tuesday that he would love to see federal funding cut off, the nation's public broadcasting system is facing perhaps the biggest threat to its existence since it was just first established in 1697 and 1967. I wonder how it feels like for them to experience what InfoWars had to experience. Clearly, they're not at that degree. They're not like bankrupt, but I hope it scares them a little bit. Because what happened to Alex Jones and InfoWars with that case, I don't know. Maybe I have a contentious opinion about it. I thought it was horrible. Maybe it's time that the other side knows what that's like to feel muzzled financially. The broadcasters get roughly $500 million in public money through the Corporation of Public Broadcasting, okay? So Republicans have frequently grumbled that PBS and NPR news programming leans left. But efforts to cut and or eliminate funding usually fade because legislators want to protect their local stations. Regardless, I think that this is a great Culturama over NPR. Wonderful, Hover Spool. Thank you so much. But yes, this is a conversation that was needing to be had out in the open like this. And I think it's now time. It's, yes, it's public broadcasting. They claim that they're nonpartisan, but it's so obvious that they are, and it's so tiresome to like continually have to defend these people because we all know where their agenda's at. And I think that if we have, you know, news sites like InfoWars, again, regardless of what you think about them, that can get financially obliterated like it did. It's doing fine now, but, you know, it has in the past for different reasons been financially obliterated. I think it's fair to say, hey, look, if you're going to, as public broadcasting, pose a similarly like polarized narrative, which they do, maybe you should do it on your own dime. Or maybe get your own Peter Thiel. By the way, Pope Francis is not looking too hot. He got sick and he went away for a couple days and he came back looking like this. My goodness. Do you guys see that? My God. I mean, I'm not Catholic, but I do wish the best for him. That's rough. Anyways. This week alone, Donald Trump has announced The Atlantic repeatedly for publishing texts from a signal messaging app among most high-ranking defense officials planning for military attack. This, of course, is being brought up because, here's a thread, Catherine, the CEO of NPR that we just watched that video of, is also on the chair, a chair on the board of Signal. What are the odds? Let's read this thread together, shall we? In the remainder 20 minutes of this show, which, by the way, after this one, we do have the Liberty Tonight show. You guys should go check it out. Catherine is an appointed member of the U.S. Department of State's Foreign Affairs Policy Board. This woman is fairly connected, where she advises the Secretary of State on technology policy. And they have receipts for this. I trust the sources here. I'm not going to read it off out loud, every receipt, but there's a picture of it. You guys can just check out her Wikipedia page. More context. Signal and WEF Boys state that she is an appointed member. The NPR bio says she was from 2022 to 2024. Either way, Secretary Rubio should investigate what policies were put in place and who is currently occupying this position. Okay, let's look at this. The World Economic Forum states that during this time, both Catherine and Wikimedia were vocal and prominent public champions of the rights to freedom of expression, inquiry, and privacy. She is an appointed member of the U.S. Department of State's Foreign Affairs Policy Board. Wow. Where she advises the Secretary of State on the intersection of technology, democracy, and human rights. The WEF is saying this. Let's continue. And there's another Wikipedia receipt there. Okay, I guess there's... Oh, here we go. Yes, as of March 27, 2025, Catherine Marr is still the chair board of the Signal Foundation. There has been no public announcement for credible evidence indicating that she has stepped down from this role. Her bio on the Signal Foundation's website continues to list her as the chair. Is this true? Let's see. Signal Foundation. Just excuse the spelling there. Protecting free speech and enabling secure global communication. I said on my stream the other day, by the way, that, hey, maybe it's best that public officials don't use Signal to share information. And people were clowning on me in the comments saying that, you know, well, it's like, it's more protected. It's still safe to use. It's fine. No, it's not. The person, it turns out I am vindicated yet again on my opinions. But on their board is this highly connected individual and NPR CEO. Where can I find, where does it say board members? Amba, interesting name. We have Amba, CAC. Are these pseudonyms? Brian Acton. Look at Brian, though. Look at that. What a chat. Am I right, you guys? My goodness. We have Jay Sullivan. Catherine Mayer. There she is. Yeah. Catherine Mayer is a former CEO and executive director of the Wikimedia Foundation, responsible for Wikipedia. She's responsible for Wikipedia, by the way. Guys, a good source to get your good source to get your information from. She is currently a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council. Beautiful. All the marks are there. Where her work focuses on the intersection of technology, human rights, and democracy. Okay. She is a term member on the Council of Foreign Relations, a WEF global leader, and a security fellow at the Truman National Security Project. Quite the resume. She is on the board of directors for the Center of Technology, Democracy, Consumer Reports, on the Digital Library of America, Adventure Scientists, and Systems.com, as well as a trustee on the American University of Beirut. She's an appointed member of the U.S. Department of State's Foreign Affairs Policy Board, where she advises the Secretary of State on technology and policy. She received a degree in Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies. Huh, that's very interesting, isn't it? Okay. Okay. I wonder why that would be. A Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies. Why do you think she was encouraged to do that? In 2005, in the New York University's College of Arts and Science, after studying the Arabic language. Okay, she's an Arabophile. Got it. I wonder if her boyfriend at the time was Arab. Okay, I didn't see Signal mentioned here, but... No, this is on Signal Foundation. What am I talking about? This is on the Signal Foundation bio. I'm retarded. We are on their website. It says here Signal Foundation. This is just rest for bio. Okay. Yeah, so they're not wrong. She's still listed on their board. Their list of board members. Look at Moxie, though, you guys. Moxie, I can't believe his name's Moxie. Moxie Marlinspike is a founder of Signal. Okay. Meredith Whitaker. All these names sound fake, huh? Well, anyways. Where is the... there we go. For example, let's continue on with this post. We just read that she was actively identified as a chair in reports and posts throughout 2024, and no updates suggest a resignation or replacement. Unless an unpublicized change has occurred in the last few hours, she remains in that position. When was this posted? This was posted 7:12 a.m. So this morning. Early this morning, this was posted. And it still hasn't been updated. I like how they had to mention the no about the Middle Eastern studies thing. That is kind of weird. The Islamic studies. Mr. Pig writes, she's clearly an intelligence asset. Yeah. Her resume is like a highlight reel of CIA cutouts. What the F? Yeah. Yeah. She's probably just an asset. Yeah. No surprise there. Well, you guys, I just want to draw attention to that. There's clearly no surprise that this is happening. NPR CEO going out and crying about having funding cut because it turns out that NPR may actually be a propaganda arm. And a person with how Mr. Pig appropriately put seems to be clearly an asset of some kind is heading this unbiased arm of news, and she also just happened to be on the board for Signal, the very app that had this Goldberg individual who wrote the article for The Atlantic infiltrate and leak those chats in, for those that remember from earlier this week. So very interesting developments there, but to end off on a good note, breaking. Republicans are introducing legislation to abolish the TSA. I think that's time for celebration, everybody. Joseph Cotto, I see your donation. $5 for Joseph Cotto. Let me play that sound effect again. Thank you so much, Joseph Cotto. I will get to you here in a second. But wouldn't it be cool, you guys, if Republicans actually do end up taking the TSA out? My God, the most ineffective. One of the most, again, you want to go see your money being burned in real time, go fly somewhere, go through the TSA. Breaking, Senator Mike Lee has introduced legislation to abolish the TSA. TSA is nothing more than a security theater and has never thwarted a single terror attack. Never. You guys, take that into consideration. All they do is grope and harass Americans attempting to travel while making airports miserable. They have to go. Absolutely. I agree. Okay, Row House, I have... Let me send this over to myself here because my Rumble Studio isn't working. I'm going to DM this to myself. And I will read your comment here in a second. Row House donated $5, and you wrote, Daniela, your view if this accurately depicts Joseph Cotto. Let's take a look at it. I just DM'd the link to myself because Rumble Studio is being as effective as the TSA at this moment. And so I can pull it up here for everyone to see. This is your $5 donation, Row House. You wrote Joseph Cotto, look in the Ghibli, Daniela. Nice. Yeah, I think that the one on the left looks a little bit more like him, Row House. For those that don't know who Joseph Cotto is, by the way, you should go and follow him. He makes great content. I had him on my show and I interviewed him in Enchanted Forest. Row House, I do like this. I actually think that the one on the left looks more like him. And I do like the castle in the background as well, but thank you for that donation, Rowhouse. Someone's writing about being groiped in the comments. Italian music, yes, Rowhouse. Good old European music. We probably did not make the Leo. We didn't. But not this time, Rowhouse. It is a shorter stream. And, you know, Leo made it out last stream. I figured you guys wanted a break from him, unless you donate. Who was groiped? Right, it's Fiery Waco. I don't know who was groiped. I don't know who you're talking about, but it certainly wasn't me, because we did have groipers join the stream last on the last stream on Tuesday, and even though groipers showed up, they still had a great time. We had a great time talking with Chris Burnett, and you could say that they tried to groip us, but in fact, I think they actually ended up appreciating and enjoying that episode quite a bit. Okay, you guys, I did have a couple clips to show you how ineffective the TSA is, but we only have a few more minutes left. Let me see if I can pull those up here last minute. And then, after that, that was loud. And after that, we have the legendary Liberty Tonight fellas on the stream, or on their stream after this. Let's just watch these TSA videos together. We have this one. Look at the way they groiped her. Oh, you guys are writing about groiping because of the grope. Yes. Yeah, they're groiping her right now. Just to remind you guys what it looks like. That is so annoying. I had to have this happen to me when I was a kid, by the way. I'll get to that story here in a minute, but
100% of the time I fly.
Oh, whoops,
I get a pat down. 100% of the time I fly. I have a medical device that can't go through airport security scanners. The agents are always professional, but it still feels like I'm being singled out for my medical condition. I wish traveling with a disability didn't mean signing up to be touched by strangers every time.
Seriously, especially if you travel out, that's so annoying. When I was a kid, I think I was like 9 years old, 10 years old. This is going to be a bit of a story. I was wearing a denim skirt. I was flying to Florida to meet my family, my grandparents at the time, and my dad and I were in the airport, and I was wearing a denim skirt, and it had a belt attached to it that had like a metal. It was metallic, basically. And I remember, this is my first time flying too. I must have been like 8, 9 years old. And I went through the thing. It went off. They had to pull me aside. I was a blonde girl with blue eyes, literally 9 years old, not a terrorist. Regardless, they had to pull me aside. And it was an old man at first, you guys. It was an older gentleman. I remember this. I was scared. I was 9. This has never happened to me. I've never flown before. And he pulled me aside. Obviously, you know, my dad interjected. Then they brought in a woman, but she had to like touch around the abdominal area. And then guess what? They realized it's just a belt from like JCPenney. So absolutely ridiculous. And that was my initiation story with the TSA. It was so what's the word I'm looking for? Disturbing as a 9-year-old. But since then, I think I may have been patted down that was actually the most egregious example. I only been patted down a couple times after that and barely even patted down. The most egregious example happened when I was 9. Interesting how that happens, huh? And I just recently flew to Arizona with like a bunch of technology. They had to look through the bags and stuff. But that didn't warrant a lot of attention like it happened when I was 9. Granted, the terror attacks of 2001 happened shortly before that, a few years before I was 9. It happened when I was 5. So it was like a couple years after. So they were probably still on more high alert as opposed to today when it's not really a big deal. But still, like, it's disturbing. It wasn't in the DFW, was it? I worked for TSA for 20 years ago or so. No, Barney Styles, I think this was in Seattle because we were flying out directly to Florida. So it must have been in Seattle, but I don't quite remember. I couldn't tell you. I think it was in Seattle. Anyways, you guys, that has been the stream. I want to thank you for joining me. I have to end it here because we have the Liberty Tonight show, but I will... let me send you guys the link to the show. Let me pull out Rumble. Rumble is buggy, but give me a second here. We have the Liberty Tonight stream.
Who is scarred, maimed, injured, or paralyzed. That is the true
There's Tim Pool.
Hero and sacrifice and honor. That
Playing in the background. Okay, Liberty Tonight show. Their live is up. They also have Studio Ghibli in their thumbnail. Okay, they're starting, you guys. I'm going to drop this in the chat. Where's my... There it is. I'm dropping the link in the chat. You guys join the Liberty Tonight show and let me do my little monologue here and I will set you guys off. Okay. Everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining the Culturama stream today. We talked about animation. We talked about the democratization of art and so many things. CIA vampires and so forth. I want to thank you all for joining us today. I will see you on the Gaming Saturday stream. I think you're going to enjoy it. I will be playing Civilization. I know you guys asked for it, and it's happening. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful evening and an upcoming wonderful weekend. Let's take back the culture together, reclaim the discourse, and take back tomorrow today, everyone. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow by, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive in the light of freedom's sky. We got the power now in the heart of every town. We've got the power now.